All right, so getting ready for a digital games developer interview can be kind of scary,
Yeah, like facing a final boss.
but we're going to help you totally crush it in this deep dive.
Think of this as like your cheat code to get that dream game dev job.
Exactly.
Mhm.
We've got the RoleCatcher Career and Interview Guides for digital games developers.
Plus, we'll throw in some AI magic to help you come up with some awesome answers.
Okay, so first, what does a digital games developer actually do?
Yeah, the career guide makes it sound pretty exciting.
Yeah, bringing games to life on PCs, consoles, mobile devices, pretty much everything.
But it's not all just fun and games, though, is it?
Right.
What else there?
Well, these developers, they're like the masterminds behind everything.
Oh, yeah.
They blend creativity with some serious technical skills,
Uh-huh.
coding, testing, debugging, making sure everything runs perfectly.
So players can, like, get totally lost in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not just about, like, brainstorming quests and designing characters.
Nope.
There's a ton of hardcore technical stuff, too.
Which brings us to the first interview question from the guide.
Okay.
Can you tell us about your experience with game engines?
Oh, yeah, I remember when I first got asked that question.
Me too. I kind of fumbled through it.
Well, everyone starts somewhere.
True that.
What's interesting about this question, though, is that it's not just about listing the engines, you know?
It's more than that.
Yeah, the interviewer wants to understand how deep your experience is,
Oh, okay.
how comfortable you are with them, and if you've actually used those engines to overcome real challenges.
So it's not just like a name-dropping thing.
No, not
No.
at all. It's about showing your ability to adapt and learn new engines because the industry is always changing.
Makes sense.
Think about specific projects where you use those engines. Did you run into any problems? How did you solve them?
That's a good point.
And if you have a favorite engine, don't be shy about saying why.
Mm-hmm.
Interviewers love to see that passion.
Okay, so don't just rattle off a list of engines.
Right.
Really focus on the projects and challenges that I've worked on.
Exactly. And show that you're willing to learn new tools even if you haven't mastered them yet.
Okay, got it.
Now, the guide also says don't say you have NO experience with game engines, obviously.
Right, of course.
But it also says don't limit yourself to just one engine, even if you're an expert.
Oh, interesting. Because like you said, the gaming world's always changing.
Yeah, you got to be adaptable.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's move on to question number 2, and this one gets a bit more technical.
All right, Jupe.
How do you approach debugging code in a game?
Ah, debugging.
Right.
Every developer's worst nightmare.
Totally.
But it's also a really important skill that interviewers want to see.
Yeah.
They're looking for a systematic approach, a clear understanding of debugging techniques, and the ability to stay calm under pressure.
Because no game is ever completely bug-free, right?
Exactly. Bugs are going to happen.
True.
So it's not about avoiding them entirely, but about how well you can find them and get rid of them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The guide suggests explaining our process step by step.
Oh, okay, like walking them through it.
Yeah, imagine you're walking the interviewer through your mental map of how you tackle those annoying bugs.
I like that.
How do you even know there's a problem in the first place? Is it through error messages testing or even feedback from players?
All good points.
Then walk them through your actual debugging process.
Okay.
Do you use tools like breakpoints or logging techniques? Explain how you trace the code, isolate the problem, and test your solution.
So basically, I should like paint a clear picture of my debugging journey,
Exactly.
highlighting all the tools and tricks I use along the way.
Yep. But the guide also says to avoid too much jargon.
Oh, right. Even though it's technical, I don't want to lose them in a bunch of tech terms.
Right. Keep it simple. Use analogies if you need to, and focus on explaining your thought process in a way that anyone can understand.
Got it. Clarity is key, even when we're talking about complex stuff.
For sure.
Speaking of complex, question number 3 dives into the world of optimization. The question is, can you discuss a time when you had to optimize a game's performance?
Optimization is a constant battle in game development.
I bet.
You're always trying to balance those amazing visuals and features with making sure the game runs smoothly, especially on mobile.
Right, because who wants a laggy game?
Nobody. This question is your chance to shine as a problem solver who can make those tough decisions to make sure players have a great experience.
So it's not just about making the game look awesome, but also about making sure it actually runs well on different devices.
Exactly. And the guide really emphasizes that interviewers are looking for real-world examples, not just theoretical knowledge.
So they want to see how I've actually dealt with performance issues before.
Yeah, exactly. Did you have to reduce loading times, improve frame rates, or maybe you had to deal with memory leaks or optimize the game for different screen sizes?
Those are all important.
Think about a specific project where you faced those optimization hurdles and how you overcame them.
So it's like picking a battle story from my development experience and breaking down how I won.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to get specific mention tools like profiling software, which helps you find the parts of the code that are slowing things down.
Okay.
Explain how you figured out the problem, implemented solutions, and ultimately got that smooth performance.
This is starting to feel like I'm prepping for a raid boss, not just an interview.
Haha. Well, that's the power of preparation. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you fine-tune your answers and get feedback that's specific to game dev roles.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
It's like having a personal coach in my corner, helping me level up my interview game.
exactly.
Awesome. We've tackled 3 pretty intense questions so far, but we're just getting started. We've got more challenging interview questions coming up, plus we'll dive into career paths and how RoleCatcher's AI can give you that extra edge.
Stay tuned.
Don't go anywhere.
Okay, so, I've always thought multiplayer games are so cool.
Oh, yeah, me
The
too.
way they connect players and, create these like shared experiences.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's the magic of multiplayer. But behind all that magic is a ton of technical challenges.
Oh, I bet.
Which brings us to our next interview question.
Okay, hit me.
Can you tell us about your experience with multiplayer game development?
So for people who want to make multiplayer games,
Yeah.
what are interviewers really looking for with this question?
They want to know if you understand just how complex it is to build those interconnected gaming experiences.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We're talking about networking, synchronization, latency,
Huh?
all those behind-the-scenes things that can make or break a multiplayer game.
Right, because a laggy or buggy multiplayer experience is just the
It
worst.
totally ruins the fun.
So how can someone impress the interviewers with their answer to this one?
The key is to highlight any direct experience you have with tackling those multiplayer challenges.
Okay, so like what specifically?
Have you implemented any multiplayer features yourself? Worked on network code? Maybe even dealt with those tricky client-server interactions?
Well, yeah, those are important for real-time communication between players, right?
Yeah. It's exactly.
So you got to show that you've been in the trenches dealing with all that stuff.
Yeah.
But what if someone hasn't shipped a full multiplayer game yet?
That's totally fine. You can still show that you understand the concepts.
Okay.
Maybe you experimented with multiplayer features in personal projects
Mhm.
or took some courses that covered network programming.
Good point.
The point is to show your enthusiasm and that you're willing to learn.
And to be honest about how much experience I actually have, right?
Exactly. Honesty and a realistic view of the challenges are really important.
Yeah, no need to oversell it.
Interviewers can spot BS from a mile away, and they appreciate it when you're genuine.
For sure.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to question number 5. This one's a little different.
Right, what is it?
Can you discuss your experience with game design?
Game design. It's like the heart and soul of making games fun and engaging.
Yeah, definitely.
This question is all about showing that you understand what makes a game fun, challenging, and rewarding.
I read somewhere that good game design is like writing a good story.
Oh, interesting.
You need to hook the player from the start,
Yep. Keep them engaged.
right, and then deliver a satisfying ending.
I like that analogy.
Thanks.
And the interview guide really emphasizes knowing those core game design principles.
Like what kind of principles?
Things like player feedback, pacing balance, and mechanics that make players want to keep playing.
So it's not just about coming up with cool ideas.
No.
It's also about knowing how to make those ideas actually work.
Exactly. What's the best way to answer this if you haven't had a lot of professional game design experience?
That's a good question. I'm curious too.
Think about any time you've applied those design principles, even in a small way. Maybe you designed levels for a game jam, created unique game mechanics, or even just brainstormed ideas for your dream game.
I see.
And even if you're mostly a technical person, you can still show that you appreciate good design.
How so?
Think about games you love and why they're so engaging.
Okay.
What makes their mechanics so satisfying? How do they create those immersive worlds that keep players hooked?
So I can use my own gaming experiences and figure out what makes those games tick.
Exactly. And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can give you feedback on your answers.
Right, that's true.
It can help you figure out where you can add more detail or, make your explanations even better.
That's really helpful.
Hmm?
Okay, so speaking of games that have taken over the world,
What are you thinking?
mobile gaming is huge right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Which leads us to question number 6. Can you tell us about your experience working on mobile games?
Mobile gaming has its own unique challenges and considerations compared to PC or console development.
Oh, yeah, Definitely.
Smaller screens, touch controls, performance limitations. It's a whole different world.
It really is.
Yeah.
I remember trying to play this really complex strategy game on my phone.
Oh.
It was just too much with all the tiny buttons and menus.
Yeah, I feel that designing for mobile requires a different way of thinking.
You really have to think differently.
Yeah, the interviewer wants to know if you understand those limitations and can adapt your skills to work within them.
So how can someone really stand out with their answer to this question?
If you've actually worked on mobile games before, that's awesome.
Of course.
Talk about any projects where you optimized a game for different screen sizes or worked with touch input and gestures, or maybe you tackled performance issues that are specific to mobile devices.
So it's all about proving that I'm not just a PC or console developer,
Yeah.
but that I can handle the mobile world too.
Exactly. But what if someone hasn't had much experience with mobile game development yet?
Yeah, what then?
Even if you've just dabbled in mobile, talk about what you learned.
Good.
Did you experiment with different control schemes or simplify the UI for smaller screens?
Makes sense.
Those insights show that you're willing to learn and adapt.
And I guess it's also important to stay up to date with mobile gaming trends, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
New hardware, new platforms, new design patterns. It's a constantly changing landscape.
Definitely. Showing that you're keeping up with all that demonstrates real interest and commitment to mobile gaming.
Awesome. Okay, let's move on to question number 7. This one dives into something kind of intimidating.
Oh boy, what is it?
Artificial intelligence. The question is, can you discuss your experience with AI programming?
Whoa, AI is becoming so important in game development these days.
It really is.
It's not just about making smarter enemies anymore.
It's more than that.
Yeah, it's about making gameplay better, creating more immersive worlds, even like pushing the boundaries of what's possible in games.
You know, I've always been fascinated by how AI can make characters feel real, like they're actually thinking and reacting.
It's pretty amazing, but AI programming seems like a whole other level of complicated.
I know, right? It's kind of scary.
It can be, but the interviewer doesn't expect you to be an AI expert.
Oh, that's good.
They just want to see that you're excited about AI and that you can grasp those complex concepts.
So how should someone approach this question if they haven't done much AI programming yet?
Focus on showing that you understand AI's role in game development.
Okay.
Have you played around with AI in your own projects? Taken courses that cover AI programming? Even just reading about the latest advancements in game AI shows that you're genuinely interested.
So even if I'm not building complex AI systems yet,
Right.
I can still show that I'm eager to learn and explore this field.
Exactly. And if you've worked with any specific AI tools or libraries, mention those too.
Good idea.
Knowing things like behavior trees, state machines, or even machine learning frameworks shows that you're ready to jump into game AI.
Got it.
Okay.
Let's shift gears a bit and talk about the player's experience.
Okay, sounds good.
Question number 8 is, can you discuss your experience with UI/UX design?
UI/UX design is all about making sure players have an intuitive and enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I feel like that gets overlooked sometimes.
Definitely. A well-designed UI makes things so much better.
It really does.
Menus are easy to navigate, and players have all the info they need right there in front of them.
I've played games where the UI was so bad that it like ruined the whole experience.
Ugh. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's amazing how much of an impact good UI/UX design can have.
It really is. And the interviewer wants to know if you understand the importance of making user-friendly interfaces that work well with the gameplay.
So what are some important things to highlight when answering this question?
If you have direct experience with UI/UX design, that's perfect.
Awesome.
Talk about projects where you designed or implemented UI elements like menus, HUDs, heads-up displays, or other in-game interfaces.
Gotcha.
Explain the choices you made and how they affected the player's experience.
So it's not just about making things look pretty.
No.
It's about understanding how those design choices impact the overall feel of the game.
Exactly. And even if you've mostly focused on the technical side, you can still show that you understand good UI/UX design.
Okay.
Think about games with amazing interfaces.
All right.
What makes them work so well?
Yeah.
How do they guide the player without being annoying?
Right. Analyzing those games can show that I appreciate good UI/UX design, even if I haven't designed a whole interface myself.
Exactly. And if you've used any specific UI/UX design tools, mention those too.
Like what kind of tools?
Things like Adobe XD Figma or Sketch.
Okay.
It shows you're ready to tackle those design challenges.
Makes sense. Before we get to the last question, I just want to remind everyone about RoleCatcher's AI.
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
It can be super helpful for practicing these questions and getting personalized feedback.
Definitely. It's like having a virtual interview coach right there with you, helping you improve your answers and present yourself in the best way possible.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready for the final question in this set?
Hit me with it.
It's all about sound, and the question is, can you tell us about your experience with game audio?
Game audio is often forgotten, but it's so important for creating immersive and memorable gaming experiences.
Yeah, it adds so much to the atmosphere.
For sure. Sound effects, music, voice acting. They all work together to make the gameplay better and pull players into the world you've created.
I remember playing a horror game with headphones once.
Oh, yeah.
The sound design was so creepy and realistic that I almost jumped out of my skin.
Uh-huh. That's the power of good game audio.
Seriously.
It can make you feel things, build suspense, and create a sense of place that you just can't get with visuals alone.
Totally. So what are interviewers looking for when they ask about game audio experience?
They want to know if you get how important audio is for the player's experience.
Okay.
Have you ever made sound effects, composed music, or added audio assets into a game engine? If you have, definitely talk about those experiences.
But what if someone hasn't had much hands-on experience with game audio production?
That's okay. You can still talk about how much you appreciate game audio.
Right?
Think about games with incredible sound design.
Okay.
What makes them so immersive?
Uh-huh.
How does the audio improve the gameplay and the story?
So I can use my own gaming experiences and explain how audio takes those games to the next level.
Exactly. And if you've messed around with any audio editing or creation tools, mentioning those can help too.
Like what kind of tools?
Things like Audacity FL Studio or Logic Pro X.
Yeah.
It shows you're at least familiar with the basics of audio production.
Got it. We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From multiplayer to AI to game audio. I feel way more prepared for those interview challenges now.
That's what we like to hear. Remember, preparation is key. And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can be your secret weapon, giving you personalized feedback to help you nail those interviews.
Awesome. Okay, next we'll talk about typical career paths for game developers.
Sounds good.
And we'll explore how those interview questions fit into different stages of your career.
Stay tuned.
Okay, so we've made it through those interview questions.
Yeah, we battled through them.
I feel like I've leveled up my interview skills for sure.
That's the whole point, preparing.
Definitely. But before we totally jump into the interview,
Yeah.
let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. What does a typical career path actually look like for a digital games developer?
Good question. We've talked about skills and interview questions,
Right.
but now it's time to map out the journey from being a newbie to a total pro.
I like it. The career guide talks about different stages.
Yeah.
Starting with entry-level roles and going all the way up to those senior positions.
And those interview questions we went over, they actually fit into different points along that career path.
Oh, that's interesting. So the questions they ask will change as I get more experience.
Exactly. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does. So what are interviewers looking for in an entry-level developer?
At that stage, it's all about basic skills and showing that you're passionate about learning.
Okay.
They want to see if you can use those skills you learned in school in a real job.
Right.
Remember those questions about game engines and debugging?
Mm-hmm.
Interviewers will be checking your basic understanding of those core concepts.
So even though I might not have a ton of experience yet, I can still show them I'm excited to learn.
Exactly. Passion goes a long way. What about when you move up to a junior developer role?
Okay, yeah, what's that? What kind of interview stuff should I expect?
As a junior developer, interviewers start digging deeper into your technical skills and problem solving.
Okay, makes sense.
They want to know if you can take on more responsibility and actually contribute something to a project.
Gotcha.
Remember those questions about optimization and multiplayer development?
Uh-huh.
They're meant to see if you can handle tougher challenges.
So it's not just about knowing the basics anymore.
Nope.
It's about showing I can handle the pressure and work well on a team.
Exactly. What about mid-level and senior developer roles? Those are like the big leagues.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What kind of interview battles do I have to face at that level?
When you get to those higher levels, things change a bit.
How so?
The focus shifts to leadership making decisions and having a deep understanding of the entire game development process.
Okay.
Interviewers might ask about leading teams, managing big projects, and even your vision for the future of gaming.
Wow, that's intense. So those senior developers,
Yeah.
they need to be more than just technical experts.
Right.
They got to be strategic thinkers and inspiring leaders, too.
Exactly. And remember, interview questions are just one part of the whole picture.
Great.
Building a strong portfolio, networking with other developers, and staying updated on industry trends are all super important for your career.
Don't forget about RoleCatcher's AI.
Oh yeah, that's a game changer. It can help you tailor your resume and practice your answers so you're ready for anything.
It's like having a personal career coach and a mock interviewer all in one.
Exactly. So to wrap things up, what's the most important thing for aspiring game developers to remember?
Yeah, what's the key takeaway?
To get that dream job, you need technical skills,
Right.
creative thinking, and a love for games.
Be sure.
But with the right prep and a little help from RoleCatcher's AI, you can totally crush those interviews and have an amazing career.
Awesome. Well said. The gaming world needs your talent and your unique ideas. So go out there, level up your skills, and make your gaming dreams a reality.
That's what it's all about.